Welcome to Fuck, Marry, Kill, the podcast from Sister Song, Women of Color Reproductive Justice Collective. I'm your host, Simran, and this week I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky for Derby weekend with my wonderful colleague, Dr. Ananicia Williams and Angela Masden. Ananicia is Sister Song's Kentucky State Coordinator and is a therapist and community organizer, and Angela Masden is doing incredible work around incarceration, storytelling, youth, disability justice, and just an overall reproductive justice badass. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
I'll go first. So I'm Angela, and I'm super excited to be here. And this is a good week to be here because it's Derby. I do a lot of things in the community. Community is like my passion. So like you said, disability advocate, environmental justice advocate. I go really strong with youth, justice involved. I also do maternal health advocate. I also do childcare, early childhood advocate as well. So I'm all around. I guess you'll learn a little bit about me throughout this time. But it's hard to talk about yourself because, you're trying to figure out everything, right? But I'm super excited. I want to just say that I guess really I want people to know about me is that I give my all to everything. Like, I have passion. So if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put all my passion into it. And so it does sound like a lot of things, but everything just really wraps around pretty much the same. And that's community. That's people. That's breaking down those barriers for everyone. And so that's really just what I do. And it's also a lived experience. So everything that I advocate for is because I have had an experience in that, right? And so if it's incarceration, I've had people that's been incarcerated in the family. Disability, my son is autistic, and so I understand the stories. And I love having people tell their stories because it is important to get those out. And so it really is important to understand that, like, all the work that I do, it comes from the heart. It's not just me doing it. And I think that's the difference sometimes with people. It's just, I lived it, so I know it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's me.
That's beautiful. And I feel like you're really just speaking to reproductive justice broadly in the way that, like, all of these issues, you're doing it all, but all these issues are so intimately connected and they're all under the same umbrella of being able to break down barriers for people. And so, yeah, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you. I'm excited to have you here.
So I'm excited to be here as the Kentucky coordinator of Sister Song, but then also being able to be a connector. And so Angela is one of our members, and being able to support Angela in the work that she does, but then also creating this bridge of, you are RJ, Angela. And so I love that Sister Song allows us to connect with community members in a way that while we can't do it all because RJ is so big, we get to pull on people like Angela. So excited to be here today.
Awesome. This episode, we are discussing the topic of how to know if you are doing reproductive justice. And the focus of this podcast broadly is to share the amazing reproductive justice work that people are doing and to share that reproductive justice can be found everywhere. And we want to highlight all the amazing ways that reproductive justice is being done in our communities, even if that specific language isn't being used or hasn't been used in the past, and being able to give people access to that language. But first, we are going to start the episode of the game of Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh.
Have either of you played before?
No, first time.
No.
Both of you?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
What kind of childhood do we have?
I know. I was going to say, I feel like me and my siblings would just play all the time because it was just something to do.
What? No. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So I have two for you, actually. So the first one is Fuck, Marry, Kill with Derby stuff. So the big elaborate hats, mint juleps, and your favorite racehorse. I will say that my favorite racehorse, after Googling all the names, is Render Judgment. I think that's such an epic name for a horse.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to kill the mint juleps.
Okay, you don't like them?
No, I do not like them at all. Uh-oh. If y'all could see her. I'm going to say fuck the derby hats.
Okay.
Marry the horse. Yeah.
I'm going to marry the mint juleps because they are amazing. And if you're not from Kentucky, you need to try them from Kentucky. I am going to fuck the elaborate hats. And I'm probably going to kill the horses because I do not know. I do not know the names. And so I don't even know what to choose, Simran.
My favorites, Render Judgment, Sovereignty, and American Promise. Those are so funny.
Ooh, I love American Promise.
Yeah.
You know, what's the name? Come on, do not shame us in Louisville, Kentucky. We're from here. Secretariat.
Yeah.
You know that one, right?
You didn't even say that.
No, but I didn't say it right. But I know of it. And Pat Day.
There was one
Pat
named
Day?
Tit Biscuit. Tit Biscuit also cracked me up.
That sounds great.
Yeah, they were good. They were good. All right, and I have another one for you, which is Fuck, Marry, Kill with famous horses. So y'all know Spirit, the sexy cartoon horse? Like the one from the kids movie? I'm going to pull up a picture of him. Hold, please. Hold, please. I'll put this in
It's
the...
a cartoon of a
Yes, but it's like an internet thing that everyone's like, Spirit is a sexy horse.
How are we
Really?
from Kentucky and don't know horses? This is embarrassing.
I don't know.
Look at this hot horse. Why is he handsome? He's so handsome. So, okay, that's number one.
And I have an 11-year-old. Uh-oh.
Hey, don't show him Spirit. They're going to like it too much. Okay, Spirit the horse. BoJack Horseman. Do y'all know who he is?
No, but I love that name.
You know the name? Okay, it's a TV show. It's a TV show. He's a depressed horseman. He's like a horse. He's like a horseman. Like he's...
Oh, so he's a man in a horse?
Ew, wait. He is a horseman.
Oh.
I think I'm going to kill BoJack.
I don't know yet.
Didn't
I don't
even
know
need
yet.
the third one. That's honestly fine. Okay, and the My Little Ponies.
Oh. I'm marrying the pony, My Little Ponies.
I'm marrying Spirit. Did you see Spirit?
Yeah, but I want to fuck Spirit.
Okay, fair.
Oh, that's...
Right, and I'm killing.
Ponies. Oh, my
I'm
God.
killing the little boat. What's
Or
the
BoJack Horseman.
I'm killing that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
He needs to go.
I ain't had a good F in a long time, and it's probably just okay. So there's the
Spirit will be able to do it. Spirit will be able to do
Spirit
it.
looks the best I've seen in a long time. Okay.
That's a man who knows how to treat a woman right. You can tell in his eyes. All right. So, Anicia, this first question is a little bit towards you because you're the one who came to me with the idea for this episode. And so I just want to bring up that you're so well-rounded. You know, there's so many different topics that you could be talking about. What made you want to come and talk about this topic?
So I think doing this work at Sister Song, and we're a national-based organization, and then Reproductive Justice, I notice as navigating this space here in Kentucky, people may know Sister Song, but people may not have a true understanding of what reproductive justice is. And so I was like, Simran, we have to talk about this, and like people realizing all the things that they're already doing is RJ. And so what a better way to sit down at the table and be able to say, oh, if you are focusing on food justice, did you know that that's RJ?
Right.
If you're showing up for community and advocating on the behalf of, we think about Breonna Taylor is really big here because of the murder of her. That was RJ, y'all. Like, we've been doing this, and so come closer to the movement.
That's so true. I love that. Angela, do you have anything you want to add?
I was just going to say that I think sometimes our knowledge and education of things is very slim, and so we hear the name Sister Song, and we attach to events or Dr. Anicia, like we see that and we hear it, but we don't really know, like she's saying, what RJ is. Or sometimes I think that people think that RJ is like so big that they are scared of like knowing what it is, and instead of like, you're walking down the street and you're probably doing RJ, you don't even really realize it. How do we make it where we incorporate it into their lives that they're already living and that they're already advocating for it, and they just don't know how to put a name to it? So I think that's the reason why this was good right here, is that now we can put a name to it, and now people can be like, oh, I'm an advocate. I know what to do now. Bring me into these spaces now and not be scared to speak, because your story and what you're doing is what we need to hear, right? And not just hear from Anicia all the time, because other people have stories. Other people have a walk. Right. And we only hear from one person. Sometimes our stories don't get heard, or RJ doesn't get, it gets like on the totem, like a low man on the totem pole, right? And so I think it's just the scarceness of things like reproductive justice. You hear that name, you're like, oh. And I think people just think like being pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's like so much more than that, right? So I'm glad that this is the platform that we're doing it so that people can just hear us, listen to it, and then like incorporate it. And I think our job too is try to incorporate it into their lives as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're so right that it's already incorporated into their lives. It's just being able to really name that and feel comfortable sharing that you are a reproductive justice advocate. You are living reproductive justice all the time. And I really love the food justice example too, because I feel like you're so right that it's just, it evokes, the words reproductive justice make people think about pregnancy. They make people think about abortion. And that's not always the entry point for people. Sometimes that is like not a comfortable entry point for people, especially if you're working in food justice, that might not feel relevant, but being able to make that connection and say like, well, you're feeding children, you're feeding families, communities, that's reproductive justice fundamentally.
Oh, yeah.
So can we do a little recap of what is reproductive justice and what makes certain work count as reproductive justice work?
I love that you asked that. So I will say here in Kentucky, I've been trying to be intentional in saying, okay, let me hear your story, and then connecting it to reproductive justice. Oftentimes, like Angela said, people think if you're pregnant, or like you said, Simran, abortion. But reproductive justice is literally everything. It could be when we think about the city of Louisville, there is a certain area of the West End. Oftentimes people complain about the smell in the air and don't even realize that that is an entry point for you to advocate about what are these toxins, what is the pollution that you're putting in the air that could also be impacting your body. So bodily autonomy is one of our tenets. Raising children in safe and sustainable communities, you could easily attach that back to the pollution in the air to let people know, baby, that's RJ.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point because I do environmental justice and we do a lot of lead work, right? So lead in your house, that's reproductive justice, right? Taking care of your bodies, things like that. Just also even me doing incarceration, just with women especially coming out of a facility. It is reproductive justice because they're trying to figure out who they are. Also now, like, how do I become a mom?
Right.
You're always a mom, but now I've been away for a while, and now I have to come back and be like mom to these 2 or 3 kids. What am I supposed to do, right? And so just thinking about that and then talking to those women and being like, guess what you are now? You're a reproductive justice advocate, and that's how we're going to move you along by being the best mom that you can be, by being the best caregiver. And so just like we've been talking about, it's literally walking down the street. And I'll be honest, I never knew that reproductive justice was so big. I always assumed that it was abortions or pregnancy or maternal health kind of things. And I just felt like that was not something that I was really into. And so I didn't really know, like breastfeeding. I didn't breastfeed, so I didn't really, like, these were things that I thought all just what reproductive justice was until Sister Song came. I went to an event. I was like, oh, I'm doing this every day. Like, I didn't know that, right? And so it opens your eyes up a little bit and makes you understand that we do the work all the time. And we need to make sure that we get people in spaces that understand that. And so it's just crazy to me how big it is and how much education that I am learning about it and how I can put reproductive justice with incarceration, how I can put reproductive justice with youth, how I do this with lead, all of these things, even with the smell. Most people be like, the smell, that's environmental, but it isn't though, right? Because we're smelling it, it's affecting our bodies. If we are pregnant, it's affecting the baby. Like all of these things that we need to advocate why the smell doesn't need to happen anymore.
Right.
So all those are good examples. We could go on and on about them, but they're all good examples. And I think we just have to sit. It's almost like we need a, what do you call it? Like a tip, like a quick facts, like here's food justice, reproductive, like all these things, right? Like, I feel like we need one of those like papers everywhere so people know food justice equals reproductive. This equals that, right? We need something like that. Make that.
Make that.
Okay, we're gonna make that together as a team.
Ananisha will do that. You get back to us.
You see,
I feel like that like perfectly led into what I was thinking about, whether or not you had always framed your work as reproductive justice. And it sounds like the answer is no, and that
Right.
you were able to come into it and find it. What did that experience feel like? Like, why do you think it's so important that you're able to articulate your work as reproductive justice?
simple. I just learned about it. Like I took upon myself to come to an event and to learn about something that I thought was just like a silo by itself, right? And then little did I know is that it's not a silo. It goes with everything I do. And so that also helps me almost, I don't want to say brand me a little bit, but it also helped me in advocating for so much, because now I can say, this youth is X, Y, and Z, and it's affecting reproductive justice, the food, like I could name all of these things. And I think when I say reproductive justice with a lot of the stuff, people are like, how? Right. And so it opens up that dialogue, and then it opens up the communication, and then now I'm educating people like, it's not just food, or it's not just this, or the reason why this child is X, Y, and Z or just as involved is because the lack of this or the lack of that, right? And this is the reason why. And so it has helped me really advocate better. It's helped me in the work of teaching community better. It's also helped me create bonds with the community, because now they're understanding a little bit differently. And now that they can put words to it, and it's not just this big RJ, like, scary word. I don't know how to say reproductive sometimes word, right? And so it's not, even for men like that I work with, it's not like I'm never going to get pregnant with us, but you do help getting people pregnant. So you got to learn stuff too, which was really good last night when Sister Song, they had their event and those men were talking. Wow. Because it was something that I think that women just don't hear, is that the men's perspective, and being able to listen to those two men, and then his tears and him having a daughter, it was like, oh, that's what we need.
It was so
powerful.
We
need them men out here talking, because they're a part of reproductive justice. They're a part of it. And I don't even know if they knew they were a part of it. But even if you don't have a person that's pregnant or having a baby, you are still part of the system, part of breaking down those barriers. Like, we need men to speak about RJ just as much as women. So that was a powerful piece right there.
Yeah, I love it when men cry. It's always I'm like, oh, do that, cry. Like, it's so impactful. It's so impactful.
And I think he loved to too, because all them women were like, congratulations. And he was just like loving it.
I believe it. When he was walking around, I was like, why do I want to kiss you? Like, I was like, that's crazy. Yeah, I met with this group recently that is called Daddy University, I think, and I'll link it in the description. But they're doing work to train fathers to be doulas for their partners. Isn't that so beautiful? I thought that was so powerful.
I love that.
I'm like, the person who already loves you, who's already there and present. And I felt like that was just such an amazing way to include men and give them such a tangible role too in that space. So, but honestly, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the inspiration of what that video was, where it came from, and give a little background.
Yes. So if you're familiar with Sister Song, you know we always talk about women's rights and what that looks like. But at Sister Song, we've also been thinking about, like, where do men belong in this movement? And what we were trying to do is be intentional, especially like with Kentuckians. Men show up to the events. Like, anytime we have an event or we have a program, they are there. So I was inspired by how can they see themselves in this work. Kentucky loves birth justice work, okay, you all? And so the Birth Justice Care Fund, shout out to that team. When it comes to those baby items and being able to get access to that, but then also the doulas, the birth workers, the mental health support, the lactation support, wanted to allow these two fathers who have been showing up to our events to storytell and talk about what it's like when we think about our Trust Black Women campaign. They got to share a love letter to their daughters. And so I was like, okay, we talk about trusting Black women, but Black women were little girls at one point. Who was trusting them? So to be able to talk about the trust that their fathers had for them as they were waiting for them, preconception, these fathers were literally open letter to their daughters from the moment that they came into this world. I think that was the story that everyone felt last night at our event, where they were like, oh my gosh, like, we want to hear more of these. Everybody was feeling the tears and the joy.
Yes.
Oh gosh, y'all, you're gonna make me cry again because it was so cute. I mean, it almost also made me wish that my dad had a letter for me, right? Or it's almost kind of like this is a movement. Like, let's get all these dads to write these letters for their boys, their kids, their daughters, because it matters.
Yeah.
And so think about that little girl that grows up and that letter being shared. I mean, it's just like going to be so powerful. But also I think about him, how powerful it was for him to read that and those tears that were coming out, because he was like, I'm geared to do this. Like, I am this dad. I am going to raise this child this way and that way. I'm going to make sure that I advocate for her, and I'm going to teach her how to advocate. And it also, what Anicia did, she made those men be a part of reproductive justice, and they didn't even know that, right? And that they can help us, help their girlfriends, their wives, whoever it is. It just was very inspirational moment. And so also with one of the men, their wife was there, and she got very emotional during the scenes and stuff. And I think it was like a so real moment for her, like, my husband gets it now. And my husband now understands what we go through, and that I've been trying to get you to be a part of it, but now you know really that you've been a part of it. And now you acknowledge that and you feel that, and now you can advocate for me and everyone else and our daughters. So it was just such a real moment. If you missed it, I'm really, really sorry about that. But next time when y'all see Sister Song doing something in Louisville, I suggest you all get on the plane.
Is it going to be available somewhere on Anicia?
Yes, so I can't wait to share with all our Sister Song members and then all the community. So coming soon, you all.
Oh, I'm really excited to share that with everybody. It was so beautiful. What was that tagline that they said at the end?
They said that I am Black fatherhood and I belong in maternal health.
T-shirt.
T-shirt.
It's a T-shirt coming. Literally.
Embroider that on a pillow or something.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. Do you have children, Angela?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I have lots of kids. No, I'm just like, I feel like I do because I work with so many kids. So all of them are my kids.
Yeah.
But really, I have a son that lives in my house. He's 11.
He's 11.
Yes.
Okay, and then your daughter is what, 14?
She is 14, y'all.
Yeah.
We're going through some times, okay?
Have y'all ever thought about writing a letter to your children?
After last night, yeah. I'm like, dang, where was I at? But I've always thought about when he first was born, I don't know, it was like a big hit where you created like a Gmail account, and then you write to that Gmail account about memories or when you were born, or upload pictures and stuff. So that didn't happen, but it was a really good moment for me to think about that. And I'm like, well, maybe I still can do that, because he's really into like, Mom, let me see me when I was a baby.
Aww. And
what did I do this? And so I think writing the letter now too about the past 11 years, I think he would love that, to read it only when he gets 18 though. I think when he gets older, like a graduation gift, like I think that would be great.
Yeah.
So I haven't wrote a letter, but I love pictures. And so since she was born up until, now, I collect pictures, and we actually started our own picture book. So keeping those memories, and then I'll put like just a little something so she can remember like what that was connected to, and then be able to go back and flip through it.
That's really
That
cute.
was cute.
That's really cute. Yeah, there was one of my roommate's friends came over, and she kept taking pictures, and she was like, it's for my kids, it's for my kids. And I was like, oh, how old are your kids? And she said, oh, I don't have kids. It's for my future children. I want to show them all the things that I did in my 20s, all these wonderful moments that I shared with my friends and things like that. I was like, that's cute.
I don't think I want to share what I did in my
That's so fair. That's so fair. They were going on a hike, okay? It was wholesome. It was wholesome.
I wonder how much she did share, though.
Yeah. It's like certain moments for the kids, certain moments. So what makes something not reproductive justice work? And I say that because I feel like in the past I've seen organizations, specifically like larger white organizations, that have used the term reproductive justice and gotten pushback. And I always wonder, what is the role of us as people who are holding that language, as people who are holding that history, to be able to say who is doing reproductive justice work and holding people accountable to using that language, while also inviting as many people in as possible, right? Because I don't want to gatekeep what is reproductive justice.
You want to take that?
Go ahead.
Y'all, okay.
It's like a deep breath for both of us.
Yes. Okay. What I struggle with is when I see what you just described, Simran, is when people do not give credit to where reproductive justice began. Oftentimes we're in the spaces, and many of these white organizing groups who say they do RJ can't even tell you the year that it was created. They can't even name some of those founding mothers. And then you're not mentioning Sister Song. How are you doing reproductive justice work and not connecting it back to the foundation and where it was built? And if you're not centering the most marginalized groups, if you're not practicing from those 4 tenets, you're not doing RJ. And you're not really doing it in a way that allows people to understand the history and the impact and the power that it has. And so I think sometimes, people clout chase. And because RJ has that foundation and it's able to bring people in, I think that people do want to gravitate to it. So I encourage them to figure out, reaching into Sister Song, how can you get a training and really understand how you can put that into practice? But it's a call in to people, because it's so necessary to make sure if I'm doing this work, I'm doing it in the way that is also what those founding mothers wanted us to do too.
And I think also just understanding some accountability, that you don't know, and that it's okay not to know, and that you can't use reproductive justice name as in getting funds, as in bringing people in, as in giving a false narrative. So then those people in those spaces now have a false narrative that they're going out and saying, and people are believing that. And also just don't be scared to come ask the people that are doing the work.
Right.
Like, we can work together. It doesn't have to be Black reproductive justice, white reproductive justice. It doesn't have to be all of that. But what it has to be is real. What it has to be is understanding. And what it has to be is knowing the history, knowing who to talk to, knowing where to go, where to resource. And if you're sitting here and not doing all of those things, then it's a false narrative. And I think, to me, it's our job to hold those people accountable and to call those people out and to make sure that they have this resource, that they need to know that they cannot do these things like that, because there's real life people are over here struggling, right? It's real life, and you're messing with people who are really going through it by doing what you think. And I hope in my mind and in my spirit they just don't know.
Yeah.
And they just not doing it because they want to do it. But sometimes in my spirit, I think they just do it because they want to do it. But I'm hoping that it's just a lack of knowledge, and that it's our position to try to see that, call that out. Hey, here's this X, Y, and Z. And then they correct that. Yeah. And then we all can be the same page.
But isn't that tiring?
It is.
Why I got to keep pointing those things out?
As I said that, my next thought was, inside me, I said, whew, I don't want to do it. I'm trying to get somebody else to do it. But it is tiring to do that. It is hard to do that. But then I just think, like, if we don't do it, what happens? They continue to keep doing it, right? And so how do we stop that? How do we solutionize that? It's a system. How do we break down those systems? Because we are tired of breaking down every system that comes up. But if we don't break that system down, then who does? Right? And so we get tired, but maybe that's also our job too, is to teach the ones that are under us, like younger, and how to continue to try to, you're going to break systems every day, but how do we do that? Or also, instead of just Anastasia doing it, instead of just me doing it, like, we need to spread it
out.
right? And so that's what's tiring, is that sometimes I feel like I'm the only one doing it, but then I'm not gatekeeping it, but am I keeping all that to me and not asking for help?
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm fault for that, not asking for help. Like, I'm tired. Anissa, can you please do this?
Yeah.
She says, I'm tired. Can you go? Lauren, can you do this? Lauren's tired. And right? I don't know if we do that as Black women in spaces like this. We just take it on ourselves and just keep doing it, which is, then that poses the question of, we tired of doing it.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. Being able to spread it out and be able to ask for help and being able to create like tangible reproductive justice resources that can outlive us. Like being able to say, you know, I can't explain it to you, but if you create a really, really clear list of resources that can, like the video from last night, if you can watch that video, like that can give you a little bit of a closer insight into RJ. And so like, no, I can't sit down with you and have every conversation with every single person, but I can send you to this website, but I can share with you this resource. I can find you ways to get tapped in that don't require as much emotional labor. Like I feel like you put in the work on the front end, you create the resources, you create the environments for people to learn, and then you don't have to do it every single time.
Ooh, let me take my notes so I can screenshot and do this. Yeah, so I never think about it in that way because I'm so boots on the ground type of person. And so I never think about me taking a step back and saying, yes, I don't have that time for the conversation, but I can give you these resources. And that's still me being boots on the ground.
Totally.
So it's a whole different mindset that you just gave me in general. Like, okay, it's okay to just send the resources and hope that they do what they need to do with those resources.
And that's on them, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not they do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, whether or not they do the reading. Like, if you say that you care, do the reading.
Yeah.
Read the literature. And I think that, like, what I really love about what you said is that, like, even if you're not doing reproductive justice, you could be. Like, you can be. It's not that there are people who cannot do reproductive justice. It's that even if you are not in that place yet, if you do the work to center the most marginalized, if you do the work to credit the people where credit is due and acknowledge the history and take the time to really sit with that history, you can be doing reproductive justice work. It's not something that like the Planned Parenthood can't do, or this idea that like, yeah, we need to push back on people and be like, oh, you're not doing it because you can't do it. No, you can. You can. It's an option for you.
Yeah.
It's an option for you.
Reproductive justice is always an option for you.
Is that another T-shirt in the making?
No, so many T-shirts. All our money is actually going to T-shirt funds. Yeah, we don't provide services anymore. We're just making T-shirts. Sorry,
I'm all about it.
That does kind of sound fun, though.
It is. I'm all about it.
That's the dream. That's the dream. Well, I always say, I'm like, I would love to organize myself out of a job, you know? Like, I want us to organize to the point where, like, we don't need to do this anymore and we're making T-shirts.
Yes.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
Like, I'm like, I want to be a poet. Like, I don't want to do this, but we do this because this is our calling, right?
Absolutely.
So what, I know you spoke a little bit to your journey of how you kind of figured out that RJ was the central grounding force for you. Anastasia, do you want to share how you brought RJ in?
Okay, so I've shared this with some people, but my background is a therapist and I'm a social worker. I got connected to Sister Song a couple of years ago, and I was like, okay, I do maternal health work and, you know, I see some advocacy. It was not until I got to meet, you know, the staff, but then also really go to Atlanta where, you know, the headquarters is of Sister Song and see community that I realized that I am a part of RJ, and I have my own birthing story too, to where I went through some things, and at the time I didn't have the language, but I tell people all the time, like, this work is personal to me because it allowed me to understand some of the things that I was feeling when, you know, I had a child, but then I questioned, did I want a child? Like, do I want to keep parenting? Do I want to, you know, keep showing up in this way? And RJ allowed me to see the duality in those things that, you know, I can parent, but then I can also have the option of, today I didn't want to choose to parent. And RJ allowed me to feel accepted in having those thoughts and having those feelings. And so once I was able to see myself in RJ, I think that that's where the inspiration came from of like, how can I then organize in a way to inspire other people based off of their entry point that they see themselves in RJ. So I try to be intentional and sit with people and listen to them. And no matter what they share, I feel really confident that I can tie it back to RJ once I take the time to hear them. And I think that slowing down and really sitting with people and holding people. So we think about healing justice in a way of like storytelling and being able to, I'm not just telling my story, but I'm being intentional in listening to your story. Simran, that's where the inspiration comes from of like sitting down and storytelling. We all have a RJ story.
Yeah.
It's that lived experience that I think that people don't realize, right? She has a real life experience that called her to this, right? And so, excuse me, when you talk about passion, that's what it is. So when you listen to people's stories, it's going to connect. And so when they have a connection, then they're going to be like the most phenomenal advocate because now it relates to them, right? So that was good. It was good.
Yeah, and I think there's something really powerful about being able to feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself. And reproductive justice that's really what it gave me. You know, when I was looking for a place, I found Sister Song when I was 19 and really needed a political home and didn't really know how to find that. And I went to Let's Talk About Sex in New Orleans, and it was absolutely life-changing. I was like, these are my people. I finally found them. And I ended up interning with Sister Song at 21, also just like needing a space for myself. And Sister Song and reproductive justice were able to really bring that. But I think that piece of like, you know, when you're young or when people in general are just looking for something that makes sense of the world around us, gives you a purpose, that makes it all come together. And I feel like reproductive justice has really been that, and being able to say like, I am part of something that is larger than myself, and I am part of something that matters and that connects me to the people around me. And there's this group called Collective Power that does like an internship program. They do a great conference and everything. And we've been working with them for many years, but they're doing this project called Roots of RJ. And I don't think it's open to the public yet, but they're doing a lot of like focus groups and people who are supporting on the team. And it's essentially like an archival research project. So it's a timeline of reproductive justice from like way historical, you know, long before the term was even coined, long before reproductive justice was using that language, but looking at this timeline of what reproductive justice looks like globally, you know, moments of immigration and challenging moments where people were having their children taken away in regards to colonization, just like all these really notable moments in history that can be connected to reproductive justice. And that goes from Palestine to like the Chinese Immigration Act, like all kinds of things are all impacted by reproductive justice. And I thought it was so powerful. I thought what was really cool about it is that you can take your own experiences and put it on that timeline, right? You can say that was the year that my child was born, and that's also the year that this was happening in the global world around reproductive justice. That was the year that I, you know, had this first experience, and that was the year that this was invented, you know, whatever it is. And I thought that that was so powerful to be able to put your own experience and your story into context. Because, you know, it's one thing to tell your story in a vacuum. It's another thing to feel like it connects you to the people around you.
I can't wait till we get that. I'm like, come on, Collective Power, because I think that that's what's missing in movement work is I can take my story and place it into, like, when we think about the global aspect of things of like what is happening over here is also happening over here, and there is a direct or indirect connection that we oftentimes forget. But I think about political power, Simran. That is going to be a tool that we could utilize when we are trying to get these legislators to back up these bills that are all rooted in RJ.
I'm excited. I'll be the first one to sign up, right? Okay. I'm just saying.
You're in.
Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. I like that, how it connects. I like what you were saying where at this time I like that. That gave me chills because I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know.
I want to know how I fit into it all.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think everybody does. In any kind of work that you do, you have to have, people want to feel like it's an investment. And how is that? It's the buy-in, really, right? And so when you tie things back into this way and that way, I think that's the step of the investment. And that's how you get more people who really are into it. And then it's a whole nother step. Now, she done brought in some political powers and, you know, that's a whole nother thing, right? And so, but it's very, very important because we can't move and break systems down without going to the people that make the changes. And so we got to make sure that we know how we are over here is the same way how they are over here, and how we need to change these systems. And you all are in these seats need to change the laws of things so that we can move together. So it's a whole other aspect of political. And I think sometimes that scares people, but really it shouldn't. It really is just going up there telling who you are, why you think this is important, and why this movement needs to change or stay the same, and what it will do, because it'll probably affect them that's sitting down at the same time. And that's what I have learned, is that if we can get to them and how it affects them, they'll change it, okay? Because they won't do anything until it affects them, invest in them. Sorry, y'all. I get choked up about how we have to change things, because it's just like the movement is so important for us as women, as men. And I think about my kids, I think about her daughter, and that if we don't instill in them the power that they have, I don't know what their life is going to be when they're our age. I'm not going to tell you my age, but
23.
Now, last night I felt like I was 23, but this morning.
See, that's what a sister song party does to you. We're all 23.
But I just want them to know, like, we are in this fight, and that it has to continue, and that I just want my babies to live. I just want them to have the word of the day, the year is joy. I just really want them to have joy and know what that is, because I've struggled in that. And this work really can bring that if we know how to move that. And so we're just, I'm gonna let smile. Not that emotional, but y'all done got me over here tearing up, choking up, can't breathe. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I just want us to be joyful. Yeah, that's it.
It is emotional, and I think that is my favorite piece about reproductive justice, is how much it holds that space for emotions. I feel like I've been in my background before I was working for Sister Strong. I was working in juvenile justice. I was working with kids who were in the justice system and who are reintegrating into school and finding their way back into breaks your heart, breaks your heart. And being able to, I mean, I love working with teenagers. They're the best.
Yeah.
I think teenagers are amazing. But being able to, wow, I totally lost my train of thought. I had a point. I really did. Oh, joy. Yeah, I think that a lot of times, working in these really oppressive structures can really just take the heart out of you. It can just take that flame out of you. You come in with that's why people talk about burnout all the time with people who work in nonprofits, people who work in these service areas. Like, you have to protect your heart, and that requires you to disconnect from the work. And I think that that's a really sad way for us to be living. And I think that something that reproductive justice does is that it doesn't require you to disconnect your heart from it, because joy is so central, because we have these amazing spaces to hold community, to have your parties, to dance, to share our feelings, share our thoughts, all of that. It allows you to bring your whole self to the table rather than having to fracture yourself in order to protect yourself from all the pain that comes with working in oppressive systems.
And last night, I don't think people really understood that they were all an advocate in that space.
Right.
Like, they were all in RJ. Like, I don't think they understood that. Like, even dancing and moving and the cultural and the arts and the food, all of that was literally RJ. And I don't think it resonated with people that they were all advocates in that room. Like, Anius had literally made everybody an advocate in that room last night. And I don't think they realized that it's that simple, that we all came together. And it's just an example of, like, I have a joke always, I don't get off the couch, because I don't, okay? I never go anywhere. But it's really just internally, like, I have some internal issues of, like, I need to get out. I self-sabotage myself all the time about talking myself out about wearing this. I don't look good, this and that, right? I have a hard time even being in spaces with lots of women because I look at them like, oh, they're so cute. Why can't I wear something like that? Right? But last night I was in this space probably because I felt the most comfortable, right? I felt like I wasn't being looked at. I wasn't being judged. And I was like, well, maybe just because I'm around my like friends and they're going to always think I'm cute or something. You know, it's like your daddy always thinks you're cute. Oh, dad, thanks. You just think I'm cute because you're my daddy, right?
Yeah.
But there was this girl there that I just Facebook friends. I don't really know her. And the fact that she was like, oh my gosh, Angela, you look so, I'm like, you know my name, okay. But she was like, oh my goodness, you look so beautiful. Like, I love the look, this. And then I was sitting down and she was dancing away and I was sitting down because I needed to rest my legs. I can't keep going like them young ones do.
Well, you're 23.
Okay, y'all.
She got 43 legs.
I do. That's right. Okay. She turned around and she was like, you are too beautiful to be sitting down. Come on, dance with me. And I think in that moment, it just was like real that she don't know me. So she doesn't have to compliment me. She doesn't have to say anything. She wanted me to be on this dance floor with her because she felt some kind of vibe, right? And I think that was that moment in that space. It's like, I need to be, I need to be okay with me. I need people see me this way and they don't see you like this. And she just advocated for me in that space. That was RJ.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even realize. I'm going to reach out to her and tell her, but she doesn't even realize what she did for me in that moment. And I think Sister Song does that in these spaces that you all have created, is really just making people understand who they are and really embrace who they are and have that joy and even that peacefulness and that stillness and that burnout is no burnout. Like, this was a good break for me. Now, today I got about 3-4 meetings, the work continues, but I have a break. And so I appreciate that because I have my own internal things that are going on, but being able to step into that space, we were all advocates for each other and promoting RJ, just like that. And then I don't think people realize that. Like, in that movement, you all were literally advocates. And now I'm going to take all y'all's names and we're going to go to Frankfurt, okay? We're going to go do something together, right? They don't know that yet, but I am. Now, I remember y'all in that space. I'm going to call you, right? But I think they need to know that, too, that we can gather in this space to dance and have fun. We can gather in this space to do X, Y, and Z, to march for babies, to do this, to do that. We could do all of these things together. So
I do want to say that's why that space was so intentional last night. So Sister Song also wanted to hold space for the individuals who always show up in community. So you, Angela, you are one of those individuals who always shows up in community. So the fact that you shared that story and you got to have a moment to be in your body, you know, we talk about that in Sister Song of how that is a part of healing justice too. And so that moment was for you. And so you can go back out and keep doing this work with us. So thank you.
yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. I need to recover, though, but thank you. How do we do that? How do we recover? At 23 years old, how do you recover?
Yeah, what's the hangover cure? What's reproductive justice's hangover cure?
Yeah, but you feel like you're 43.
Ooh, wank. Why do you feel that way? I don't know. So to wrap up our conversation, I want to know, who do y'all see as the unseen reproductive justice heroes?
I actually think my mother is. We are not as close as we probably could be, but as I've gotten older, we have gotten closer. But my mom lived RJ for her entire life. She had a lot of, issues and things and all that, but she still was a mother to her kids, and she still showed up. And she advocated in ways that I don't even think she knew that was advocacy at that moment. I mean, she's 40 years in the Girl Scouts life, right?
Yeah.
And that was advocating all for those girls. And most of those girls were Black girls in low-income neighborhoods. And she has advocated for Girl Scouts representation 40-plus years. And I don't even think she understands that. And so I would say her because she needs her flowers at 70 years old. She needs to know that she has literally paved the way for all those girls that she has touched. Yeah.
I do want to shout out someone here in Louisville, Kentucky. So Change Today, Change Tomorrow is a food justice program led by Taylor Ryan. And Taylor Ryan, if you all remember the Super Bowl performance and Samuel Jackson was like, too loud, too ghetto. Taylor Ryan will take up space and own those spaces. And sometimes people have that same reaction, like too loud, too ghetto. But she gets shit done. Weekly, she is feeding community and ensuring that they have fresh vegetables and fruits. And she has partnered with Trader Joe's, y'all. Like, she got buy-in from Trader Joe's to take that food to the West End that is not accessible to a grocery store. She also is able to build a farmer's market, y'all. We have a farmer's market coming up that starts this Sunday, you know, right before Mother's Day, a farmer's market that is highlighting our Black farmers throughout Kentucky, giving them a space to show us, like, how we can grow our own produce, how we can nourish our bodies. And so Taylor was with us last night. She only had 90 seconds to speak. But she's doing the work, and I want us to really get behind her because I think sometimes she's not seen in the way because she's loud, and people will be like, she's too loud, and they try to silence her. But she's loud because she's passionate, and she's trying to take care of community, and she needs our support.
Yeah, that was a good one. Mm-hmm. She's seen as disruptive, but it's not disruptive in a bad way. It's disruptive, like, wake up.
Right, it needs to be disrupted.
Right.
Sometimes things need to be disrupted.
Remember we talked about holding people accountable?
Yeah.
She's her. So, yeah, that was a good one.
And I love people with that kind of personality because not everybody has the balls to do it. Not everyone has the balls to do it. And so the people who do, like, that's her role. That's your role. And every single person has a role in this movement. And, like, being able to figure out that your role is to hold people accountable, is to get up and get loud and say it how it is. That's a beautiful role. And I'm going to link her website and the work that they're doing in the caption.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, y'all, I'm really excited. This is going to be the first episode of season 2. And so I'm really grateful that we got to have this conversation and just really ground it. Because last season, we started the season with Monica Simpson, who's the executive director of Sister Song, just talking about, like, what is reproductive justice and that everything is reproductive justice. And so I think that this conversation is such a perfect way to begin the second season that, like, you could do reproductive justice. You can be doing it. And here's all the ways that you probably already are doing it.
Absolutely.
So I'm really grateful to get to have this conversation with you. Do either of y'all have any final words for the people?
I just want to say thanks for popping my cherry on FMK.
I'm honored. It's
twice,
a privilege.
Okay? And thank you for showing that we don't know anything about horses and we've lived here our whole life. Thanks so much for that.
Oh, yeah. I just took the fuck, marry, kill virginity of 2 beautiful women. It's a lucky day for me.
I do just want to highlight that here in Kentucky, we need to have more people behind us because there is a lot of needs. And so as you're listening to this, think about how you can show up in Kentucky. And please don't forget about us when it comes to the reproductive justice work.